Welcome to an episode of InRange. Normally I come to you with a revolver on the table and it's about the Old West. It's some firearm from the Old West or a story from the Old West because those are the revolvers I tend to be interested in. But today I'm not talking about the Old West. I'm talking about the very new West, maybe one that doesn't even exist yet. And I'm talking about Space Cowboy. Now, this video is not about brutality matches, but at brutality matches we have added a division called Space Cowboy. And Space Cowboy is manual action rifles, long arms, PCCs, with optics, but also large caliber semi-automatic handguns like 10mm with optics, and also wheel guns with optics. And this, of course, is inspired by things like Firefly, The Expanse, Blade Runner, and Ghost in the Shell. And today I'm coming to you with what I think is the epitome of a Space Cowboy revolver. And the base of that is the Chiappa 40DS Rhino. Now, this was built in collaboration with a number of people, and I'm going to talk about that in the video. But let's first of all talk about what the Rhino revolver is if you're not already familiar with it. The Rhino was designed by Emilio Gassoni, I believe I got that name right, an Italian gentleman, who originally designed the Mateba Auto Revolver. The Mateba Auto Revolver was a very modern-leaning revolver design in that it was semi-automatic. I realized there were semi-automatic revolvers way in the past, but we haven't seen a semi-automatic revolver in recent history for a very long time. So the Mateba revolver was quite different and revolutionary in that regard. Turned out to be very expensive. They're quite rare now, and they weren't the most reliable, even though if a cool design. So Emilio, in 2008, came up with his last design, which was the Rhino revolver, brought to the market by the Italian manufacturing company, Chiappa. The Rhino has a number of very interesting, distinct features, and I'm going to turn this around and we're going to take a look at this gun closer. All right, the base of this is a Chiappa Rhino 40DS. They have many variants of the Rhino. They have smaller ones for concealed carry. They have giant ones with long barrels. This one's sort of in the middle, and it's chambered in .357 Magnum. Now, let me go through the Rhino itself, and then I'll go through the modifications to make it the Space Cowboy gun that we wanted it to be. But first of all, the most interesting thing and the most distinctive thing about the Rhino is that it fires from the bottom chamber of the cylinder. The barrel is actually here, not here. Most revolvers fire from the top chamber of the cylinder, which means you have a higher bore offset and axis when you're firing, theoretically resulting in more flip. By putting the barrel at the bottom chamber of the cylinder, you've reduced the bore axis dramatically, and therefore reduced felt recoil and flip. That is what makes the Rhino most distinctive. However, there are other things as well. It has an accessory rail, which is uncommon for most revolvers. It has an internal hammer that is quite small with a cocking piece on top. Now, first of all, we're unloaded, but this is not a hammer. It is a cocking piece. It cocks the internal hammer and then drops back into position. You then get a cocked hammer indicator, letting you know that the gun is ready to go, and then of course you can fire. What this means is less reciprocating mass of the hammer firing, which was traditionally could be considered a problem in a traditional revolver design, and therefore, again, less things to disrupt your sight picture. It is, of course, single action, where I've cocked it. It is also double action as well. One of the things that I think is really interesting and good about the Rhino is that trigger press is actually really good. For a double action, it's excellent, and in single action, it's literally superb. Now, to make this Space Cowboy, a couple of things have been done. I added a controversial Olight mixture light and laser. Now, I didn't want to spend the bank on a light and laser for this because this is sort of a fun gun, to be honest. This does work, and it does zero, and it felt like a Space Cowboy revolver needed a light and laser. It has a Hogue grip, which adds to the Space Cowboy vibes for sure. This looks like something that's right out of Ghost in the Shell. If you've not seen the Ghost in the Shell series, one of the main characters in it at one point does carry a Mateba Auto Revolver, but also in later episodes and in some of the live action versions carries a Rhino. Additionally, this rail does not come as part of the gun when you buy it. This was cut by MC Weaponry. They are a gunsmith that does really excellent work so that it would accept this lead and steel acro mount Pandora optic. So any acro mount will go on this. This is your release for the cylinder, and of course it holds 6, which is not unusual for a revolver. But I've also got some really cool special speed loaders for this gun. And boom, Rev Industries high capacity speed loader. 18 rounds and something you can place in your pocket. Very simple to use. Just open the cylinder, line it up, let gravity do the work, and you got 6. Once you fired them, dump it out, do it again. All right, here we are. So we open it up, take out our speed loader, 6 rounds, close it, and we're ready to go. Another 6. Man, that speed loader works great. There is something to be said about the bore axis. This has very minimal recoil considering I'm shooting full house 357 loads. So that actually works. Red dot on top, light and laser for that cyberpunk Space Cowboy feel, and this thing shoots great. This thing is awesome. You can see shooting it, it's awesome. It's fun to shoot, it looks cool. You know what else it is? It's huge and heavy. This thing weighs a ton. I don't know exactly what its weight is, but it's a lot. And I don't consider this, frankly, a very practical gun. I consider it a fun gun. But at the same time, the shooting sports should also be fun. Now, could you use this practically? Absolutely. The detective in Ghost in the Shell certainly does. Take that for what it's worth. But for a modern carry piece, I would choose something else. That doesn't mean I don't love this, though. This thing is awesome. And the Chiappa Rhino with its bottom chamber firing cylinder is a very interesting design. Even if that does mean that the optic is further off bore axis, I don't find that to be a concern myself. I would prefer to have reduced recoil and muzzle flip, and I don't worry about an inch extra off the optic. I just don't think it matters that much in the grand scheme of things. And if you train with it, you certainly won't matter. But not exactly cheap, not exactly expensive. Altogether, of course, with modifications and optic and light and hand grip, it's a little bit on the more expensive side. But sometimes the shooting sports should just be fun, and sometimes you want a fun gun to just have a good time with, because not everything has to be exactly practical. And I hope you enjoyed this look at this Space Cowboy revolver and saw something a little fun here that's not necessarily designed to be an everyday carry tactical piece, but also something that still really is very applicable and usable. Again, if you want to join us at Brutality Matches, you can find us at brutalitymatches.org. Or if you just like this content and want to continue seeing this sort of alternative voice in the firearms community, which we hopefully are, we are completely crowdfunded. It's you, the viewer, that keep this channel alive via patreon.com/InRangeTV. For over 9 years now, this channel has been completely kept alive because of viewer support from viewers like you. If you already are, thank you so much. If you can consider it, please do. If you can't, we also understand. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell. The YouTube algorithm may or may not tell you about my videos. But the best thing you can do is share this video with your friends. If you know someone that would be interested in Space Cowboy or the Space Cowboy Revolver or just the Chiappa revolver in general, share this video with them, whether it's in social media or directly. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.